Hello friends. Love, that beautifully unpredictable force, often dances to the rhythm of the stars. And when the nurturing Cancer man meets the adventurous Sagittarius woman, the universe seems to smile and whisper, "Let's see what happens when water meets fire." It's a pairing of tenderness and thrill, of home and horizon, of emotion and exploration. But what truly happens when these two souls try to navigate the delicate art of love together? Let's dive deep into the heart of their cosmic chemistry and discover the hidden layers of this fascinating connection. After watching, if you'd like to support the channel, click the "Thanks" button right under this video or use the donation alerts link in the description. Your support really helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for being here. Now let's continue. Chemistry. Initial attraction. At first glance, the Cancer man and the Sagittarius woman might appear as if they were born on different planets, orbiting entirely separate emotional galaxies. He moves through life guided by feeling, craving the comfort of the familiar, and cherishing the tenderness of emotional safety. She, in stark contrast, thrives on the thrill of the unfamiliar, constantly chasing horizons that shimmer with possibilities he has never dared to imagine. Yet it's this exact dissonance, this electric difference in rhythm, that forms the magnetic heartbeat of their first meeting. The Cancer man doesn't fall for her in the ordinary sense. It's not her beauty that stops him, though she is beautiful in her own wild way. It's her energy, that spark in her laughter, that fearless glint in her eyes that dares the world to keep up. He senses something untamable in her, a kind of freedom that both scares and fascinates him. It's as though he's spent his entire life swimming in familiar waters, and suddenly, she's the siren singing from the open sea, calling him beyond his comfort zone. For the Sagittarius woman, the attraction is almost puzzling. She's used to chasing adventures, not people. But the Cancer man exudes something she rarely encounters: peace. He doesn't compete for attention. He doesn't force his way into her orbit. Instead, he offers stillness, that rare, grounded confidence of a man who doesn't need to shout to be seen. His quiet presence feels like shade on a hot summer day, like the first deep breath after running too long. And though she doesn't know why, she finds herself curious about his still waters, wondering just how deep they go. When their eyes meet for the first time, the air subtly changes. It's not a dramatic movie moment. It's subtler, quieter, but more powerful. There's an unspoken recognition there, two completely different souls who, somehow, feel like they've met before. She teases him, challenges him with playful banter. He smiles, shy at first, but there's warmth in that smile, the kind that softens even her restless spirit. The chemistry between them unfolds like a delicate dance between moonlight and wildfire. He's drawn to her freedom, even if it terrifies him. She's drawn to his sensitivity, even if she doesn't fully understand it. The Cancer man finds in her something that awakens his dormant dreams of adventure, the urge to step outside his shell, to risk vulnerability in a new way. The Sagittarius woman, who's spent her life running from emotional entanglement, feels an unexpected desire to stay, just for a moment, to see what it feels like to be truly understood. Their first conversations are effortless yet charged. He listens, really listens, and she notices. Few people ever listen to her without trying to capture her. He asks thoughtful questions that make her pause, reflect, and even reveal fragments of her soul she rarely shares. She, in turn, brings light to his seriousness, teasing him out of his emotional cocoon with laughter and bold observations about life. Each interaction feels like a spark, a mix of comfort and danger, of the known and the unknown. There's something cinematic about the early days of their connection. Imagine him watching her from across a crowded cafe. She's laughing too loudly, gesturing wildly as she tells a story, her passion spilling over like champagne. He's mesmerized, quietly admiring her authenticity. When she finally notices his gaze, instead of turning away, she smiles with that playful, disarming grin that says, "I see you." In that smile, his heart stumbles. For her, his gaze feels different, not possessive, not judging, but full of genuine curiosity. It's the kind of look that makes her want to know what he's thinking. Emotionally, the Cancer man is captivated by her fearlessness. He envies her ability to live without hesitation, to speak her truth without apology. She reminds him of all the things he's suppressed in the name of safety. Her spontaneity becomes his inspiration, her laughter his liberation. For the Sagittarius woman, the intrigue lies in the way he makes her feel seen. Beneath his gentle exterior, she senses depth, the kind of emotional world she's always avoided for fear of losing her independence. But his world doesn't demand submission, it invites exploration. He doesn't chase her, he welcomes her, leaving the door open, letting her decide if she wants to step inside. And so, she does. The first touch between them, perhaps a casual brush of hands, perhaps something as simple as him offering her a cup of coffee, carries more electricity than either expects. It's warm, grounding, yet filled with unspoken promise. The Cancer man, intuitive by nature, feels her fire and knows instinctively that she could burn him, yet he doesn't retreat. The Sagittarius woman, brave as always, feels the pull of his emotional gravity and knows he could anchor her, yet she doesn't run. Their connection is built on contrast. He's the moon, she's the comet streaking across his sky. He seeks emotional permanence, she seeks cosmic movement. But somehow, in that twilight where their energies overlap, they find a shared frequency, that rare harmony between stillness and motion. To outsiders, their chemistry may seem improbable. What could a homebody Cancer possibly have in common with a restless Sagittarius? Yet, to those who look closer, the answer is simple. They both crave meaning. He finds meaning in love's depth, she finds it in life's adventure. Together, they begin to realize those are two sides of the same coin. In the quiet after laughter, when the world feels suspended, he looks at her as though she's both mystery and miracle. She laughs, brushing it off, but inside, she's shaken. No one's ever looked at her like that before. It's the kind of gaze that says, I see who you really are, and I like it. For him, she becomes the embodiment of possibility, proof that life doesn't have to be predictable to be meaningful. For her, he becomes the gentle reminder that not all roots are cages. Some are simply anchors that keep us steady as we chase the wind. The chemistry between the Cancer man and Sagittarius woman is not loud or explosive. It's slow-burning, intimate, and alive with emotional tension. It's the kind of connection that exists in glances, in pauses, in the silent moments between words. It's fragile, yes, but not weak. Its strength lies in acceptance, the courage to embrace difference rather than fear it. And so, their initial attraction becomes a small miracle in itself. Two people who, by every logical measure, shouldn't fit, yet somehow do. He softens her edges, she lights up his shadows. He gives her reason to stay, she gives him reason to dream. Their first spark isn't just chemistry, it's destiny disguised as curiosity. The universe seems to whisper to them both, don't be afraid. Opposites aren't meant to clash, they're meant to complete. That's the secret heartbeat of their attraction, the quiet knowing that sometimes, the people who seem least compatible are the ones who end up teaching us the most about love. Emotional dynamics. Here lies the truest, most delicate test of their connection, the emotional terrain where hearts are either built into sanctuaries or broken into lessons. For the Cancer man and Sagittarius woman, emotions are not just feelings. They are languages, philosophies, entire worlds that orbit two very different suns. He moves through emotion like a tide, steady and cyclical, pulled by unseen lunar forces that make him both intuitive and vulnerable. She, meanwhile, dances through feeling like a flame in the wind, alive, radiant, and never still. The Cancer man is ruled by the moon, the celestial symbol of ebb and flow, intuition, and nostalgia. His emotions are never shallow, they move through him with the same rhythm as the ocean. He can be calm and reflective one moment, then overcome with passion or melancholy the next. His inner world is rich and poetic, and when he loves completely, without holding back a single drop. But this depth of feeling can be both his greatest gift and his heaviest burden. He doesn't simply feel emotions, he absorbs them, wrapping himself in the moods of the moment like the tides wrap around the shore. When the Cancer man falls in love, his devotion is total. He gives without keeping score. His affection manifests not in grand gestures, but in quiet, consistent acts of care, remembering her favorite coffee, asking if she slept well, texting just to say she crossed his mind. His love language is presence, his reassurance comes through attention. But underneath this tenderness lies a silent yearning. To be understood, to be emotionally reciprocated with the same depth he offers. For him, reassurance isn't a demand, it's oxygen. Without it, his heart feels adrift. The Sagittarius woman, by contrast, moves through emotion with a completely different compass. Ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion and optimism, she experiences life, and love, as a grand adventure. Her emotions are bright, honest, and sometimes fleeting. When she loves, she does so with openness and joy, but also with the unspoken condition that love must never feel like confinement. Her emotional truth is freedom. She thrives in relationships where she can breathe, explore, and grow without constant expectations to prove her affection. For her, love isn't about security, it's about discovery. She doesn't dwell in the depths of emotion like Cancer does. She skims its surface, tasting, savoring, and then moving forward. She believes in love that's light, spontaneous, and filled with laughter, love that encourages independence rather than dependence. When she's with the Cancer man, she's both fascinated and slightly overwhelmed by how deeply he feels. His emotional tides can feel like storms to her, beautiful, yes, but unpredictable and sometimes too intense for her free-spirited soul. Here lies the heart of their emotional conflict. Their definitions of love come from different elements. For Cancer, love is the ocean, vast, consuming, and eternal. For Sagittarius, love is the wind, exhilarating, liberating, and ever-changing. When he seeks to pull her closer, she instinctively drifts away. When she seeks space, he feels her slipping from his grasp, mistaking her independence for indifference. This push and pull can create waves of misunderstanding between them, even when both mean well. The Cancer man, in his sensitivity, often internalizes everything. If she doesn't respond to his emotional cues, if she seems distracted or detached, he withdraws into his shell, hurt but silent, hoping she'll notice his retreat and coax him out. But the Sagittarius woman, with her light-hearted approach to love, may not recognize the depth of his hurt. She assumes that if there's a problem, it's better to talk it out and move on, not realizing that he's still replaying every word, every tone, every unspoken nuance long after the conversation ends. She, too, can feel misunderstood. His emotional intensity, though well-intentioned, sometimes feels suffocating. His need for reassurance can come across as insecurity to her, and she struggles to understand why love must always feel so heavy. She doesn't mean to seem careless, she simply loves differently. Her affection is freedom. Her loyalty is shown through honesty, not through constant closeness. She needs to explore the world, to chase experiences, and she needs to know that her partner trusts her enough to let her fly. But when these two begin to truly see each other, when they stop trying to make the other fit their emotional mold, something profoundly beautiful happens. She begins to understand that his sensitivity isn't weakness, it's courage. It takes bravery to feel so deeply, to open oneself to the risk of heartbreak, to care that much. And he begins to see that her independence isn't distance, it's integrity. She's not running from him, she's running with life itself, and he can be part of that journey if he stops trying to cage it. Together, they start to create a new emotional rhythm, one that honors both depth and freedom. She teaches him that love can be light, that joy doesn't dilute emotion, that laughter can heal as much as tears. With her, he learns to release control, to enjoy the present instead of worrying about the future. She pulls him into moments of spontaneity, a last-minute road trip, a midnight dance in the kitchen, a shared joke under the stars, and in those moments, he feels something miraculous, safety in motion. He, in return, teaches her the beauty of stillness. With him, she learns that intimacy doesn't have to mean loss of independence. His loyalty gives her a sense of grounding she's never experienced before. For the first time, she feels that being emotionally connected doesn't mean being trapped. it means having a home to return to, no matter where she wanders. Their emotional journey is not without storms. There are days when he feels unseen and nights when she feels smothered. But the secret to their growth lies in compassion. When he learns not to take her space personally, and when she learns not to trivialize his feelings, they discover a balance that few couples ever reach. Their differences become lessons, not obstacles. Sometimes, the Cancer man's tears soften her fiery edges. Sometimes, her laughter pulls him out of the depths of his melancholy. They become mirrors for each other's evolution. She teaches him to let go of the past, and he teaches her to anchor her heart without losing her wings. In time, their emotional dance transforms from discord to harmony. They start to understand that love doesn't have to look one way. It can be fluid, adaptive, evolving. He no longer measures her love by how often she says "I love you," and she no longer mistakes his need for closeness as weakness. Instead, they start communicating in actions, small, meaningful gestures that say, "I understand you now." And when they reach this point, when the moon learns to trust the fire, and the fire learns to respect the tides, their love becomes something rare. It's a partnership built not on sameness, but on acceptance. The Cancer man, once fearful of losing her, learns that real love doesn't cling, it flows. The Sagittarius woman, once afraid of being held too tightly, learns that real freedom isn't running, it's choosing to stay. In the end, their emotional dynamic becomes the most profound part of their connection. It's not easy, not smooth, not predictable, but it's alive. It grows with them, stretches with them, evolves with them. They teach each other that love doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. It just has to be real. Because when the Cancer man and Sagittarius woman finally find emotional harmony, it's not the absence of conflict that defines their bond. It's the courage to keep learning each other's hearts, again and again, with tenderness, humor, and unwavering devotion. Long-term compatibility. Can a water sign and a fire sign truly last? Can a man who craves emotional security find lifelong happiness with a woman whose heart beats for freedom? The answer isn't written in the stars alone, it lies in their capacity to evolve together, to learn from one another, and to create a love story that honors both the depths of water and the blaze of fire. The Cancer man, ruled by the moon, is naturally drawn to stability. His soul feels most alive in moments of peace, in relationships that feel like home. He doesn't just want love, he wants belonging, a connection that wraps around him like a safe harbor after the storm. His idea of a future is steady, predictable, built on emotional loyalty and shared rituals. Dinners at the same table, quiet evenings, perhaps children, perhaps a garden to tend together. His love language is consistency, showing up, staying present, and keeping promises. The Sagittarius woman, on the other hand, is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion and exploration. Her spirit is untamed. Her soul thrives on motion, growth, and discovery. She's not afraid of commitment, but she defines it differently. For her, love is not about standing still, it's about moving together toward new horizons. She wants a partner who will not only hold her hand but also walk beside her through every uncharted path. She sees life as a vast, open field of experience, and she intends to run through every inch of it before she's done. When these two worlds collide, something fascinating happens. He offers roots, she offers wings. He builds a home, she builds a horizon. The key to their long-term compatibility lies in whether they can appreciate what the other brings instead of trying to reshape it. The Cancer man must learn that the Sagittarius woman's independence isn't rejection, it's expression. Her need for space doesn't mean her love is fading. She might wander, but she rarely strays emotionally when she's truly committed. If he can trust her freedom instead of fearing it, she will always return, not out of obligation, but out of choice. The Sagittarius woman, in turn, must understand that the Cancer man's need for closeness isn't control, it's connection. His longing for reassurance doesn't stem from insecurity, but from the way he experiences love, through emotional presence. For him, love is felt through constancy, through gestures that reaffirm the bond. If she can see his sensitivity not as confinement but as depth, she'll find that his emotional world offers her something she never knew she needed, a sense of home that moves with her. Over time, their relationship becomes a dance of give and take, a slow negotiation between adventure and comfort, change and tradition. There will be moments when their differences feel like oceans apart. He might yearn for predictability just when she's craving a new challenge. She might plan a spontaneous trip just when he's looking forward to a quiet weekend in. But if they can meet in the middle, if they can find joy in both the quiet moments and the wild ones, their bond deepens into something rare and resilient. The long-term success of this pairing often depends on communication and compromise. He must avoid slipping into possessiveness, for nothing drives Sagittarius away faster than feeling trapped. She must resist the temptation to distance herself emotionally when things feel too intense, for nothing wounds Cancer more deeply than emotional absence. Both must learn that love is not about winning or losing, it's about balancing. When they do find that balance, the result is extraordinary. The Cancer man becomes the emotional anchor in her ever-expanding life, the person she can always count on when the world gets too loud. He gives her stability, not as a cage, but as a foundation. And she, in turn, brings color and momentum into his world. She teaches him to step outside his shell, to embrace life's unpredictability, to see beauty in the unknown. Together, they evolve into a team, one who knows that security and adventure are not opposites, but allies in the story of love. Picture their long-term life together. He wakes early to make coffee, she's planning the next trip. He worries about the little things, if they're financially stable, if the house feels cozy, while she reassures him that life is meant to be lived, not just managed. He teaches her patience, she teaches him perspective. In quiet evenings, she listens to his stories about family, tradition, and emotion. In bright mornings, he watches her map out new dreams and feels inspired rather than threatened. But make no mistake, their relationship will face challenges. There will be days when she feels the weight of his emotions pressing too close, when she longs for open air. There will be nights when he feels abandoned, misunderstood, unsure if her passion for life includes him. Yet, if they both remember that love is a bridge, not a chain, they can cross these moments hand in hand. The Cancer man's devotion becomes her anchor. He doesn't just stand by her when life is easy. He stays when things get hard, offering quiet reassurance in the middle of chaos. The Sagittarius woman's optimism becomes his light. She reminds him that even the heaviest heart can feel joy again, that change isn't something to fear but to embrace. Together, they balance realism and idealism, heart and horizon. For long-term harmony, they'll need to create a life that includes both their worlds. Maybe it's a cozy home filled with photos from their travels, his sense of home merging with her sense of adventure. Maybe it's building traditions that change every year, annual trips to new places, or spontaneous date nights that keep things fresh. The key is flexibility, letting love evolve, letting it breathe. If the Cancer man learns to loosen his grip on predictability, he'll discover that adventure can deepen emotional connection rather than threaten it. If the Sagittarius woman learns that consistency doesn't mean stagnation, she'll find peace in the gentle rhythm of shared life. Their love, then, becomes not a battle between freedom and safety, but a beautiful fusion of both. However, if they resist adaptation, if he becomes overly protective and she becomes emotionally distant, the gap between them may grow. The Cancer man might retreat into his shell, building emotional walls to protect himself from disappointment. The Sagittarius woman might flee, chasing new horizons to escape the feeling of being misunderstood. They may still love each other deeply, but love alone cannot bridge two hearts unwilling to bend. They'll find themselves out of sync, like two dancers moving to different songs, each one trying to lead. Yet even then, there's hope. Because if any pair can learn from contrast, it's them. Cancer teaches Sagittarius the beauty of commitment, and Sagittarius teaches Cancer the thrill of growth. Their long-term success depends not on sameness but on synergy, the courage to let differences complement rather than conflict. In the end, when they do find that middle ground, their relationship becomes something truly remarkable. It's a love that feels like coming home after an adventure, the warmth of familiarity wrapped around the excitement of discovery. It's not static, not perfect, but alive, evolving, always reaching towards something greater. For the Cancer man and Sagittarius woman, lasting love is less about compatibility and more about cooperation. It's not about avoiding storms but learning how to sail through them together. And when they finally do, they'll realize that their opposing elements, water and fire, don't have to extinguish each other. When tended carefully, they create steam, the essence of movement, transformation, and passion that keeps love alive for a lifetime. Communication conflict resolution. In any relationship, communication is the heartbeat that keeps love alive, the invisible bridge between two souls who speak in different emotional dialects. For the Cancer man and Sagittarius woman, that bridge can either be beautifully strong or dangerously fragile, depending entirely on how they use their words, their silences, and their willingness to understand what lies beneath both. The Cancer man communicates with emotional sensitivity. His words are often soft, measured, and filled with feeling rather than logic. He listens not just to what is said, but to the pauses, to the shifts in tone, to the meaning hiding between syllables. He doesn't argue loudly or impulsively. When conflict arises, he withdraws inward, hoping that his partner will notice the change in his mood and come closer with gentleness. He doesn't need grand apologies, he needs warmth, acknowledgement, and emotional reassurance. The Sagittarius woman, by contrast, communicates like an arrow loosed from a bow, straight, fast, and with unflinching honesty. She values truth above tact and believes that clarity is the foundation of trust. When something bothers her, she says it. When she has an opinion, she shares it, not out of cruelty, but because she sees honesty as a form of respect. For her, silence feels like avoidance, and sugarcoating feels like deceit. Herein lies their first great communication rift. His quiet introspection clashes with her bold transparency. He hopes she'll intuit his feelings, she hopes he'll express them. But when he retreats into his shell, she feels shut out, and when she speaks too bluntly, he feels wounded. This cycle can spiral quickly. She grows impatient with his silence, and he grows colder in response to her sharp words. Neither means harm, but both end up feeling misunderstood. For the Cancer man, her forthrightness can feel like emotional exposure, as though she's pulling his protective shell apart and forcing him to stand bare in the sunlight. Her tone, even when not meant to sting, can pierce straight through his tender heart. When she says things like, "Just say what you mean," she doesn't realize that for him, meaning is woven through emotion, not logic. His feelings are not linear. They ebb and flow like the tides, requiring patience and safety to surface. For the Sagittarius woman, his silences feel like walls. She thrives on exchange, on lively discussion, laughter, debate, and sharing ideas openly. When he shuts down, she interprets it as rejection, or worse, indifference. She doesn't understand that his quietness isn't withdrawal from her, but retreat into himself, a protective instinct honed over years of learning to manage his deep emotions privately. And yet, when these two learn to bridge that gap, their communication becomes a dance, a fusion of intuition and truth that few couples ever achieve. She brings clarity where he brings emotion. He brings empathy where she brings logic. Their combined voices can create dialogue that is both honest and compassionate, strong enough to weather any storm. Conflict for them is inevitable, but it's also transformative. When disagreements arise, the Sagittarius woman's natural optimism helps lighten the tension. She might crack a joke mid-argument, laugh at her own temper, or diffuse the atmosphere with her contagious sense of humor. Her laughter becomes an olive branch, a reminder that love doesn't have to drown in drama. The Cancer man, though initially resistant, finds comfort in her lightness. It reminds him that conflict isn't a threat, it's simply another form of connection. But he, too, has lessons to teach. The Cancer man, with his depth and emotional insight, shows her the beauty of gentleness. He teaches her that words, though powerful, can heal as much as they can wound, if chosen with care. He encourages her to pause before speaking, to consider not just what she feels, but how her truth will land in another's heart. With him, she learns the art of empathy, the ability to sense emotion beyond logic. Over time, their conversations begin to change. She starts to soften her edges, learning to phrase her honesty with compassion. He begins to emerge from his shell more easily, trusting that he can share his feelings without fear of being misunderstood. Their dialogues become deeper, more layered, no longer just exchanges of thought, but of soul. For the Cancer man, this newfound openness feels liberating. He discovers that expressing himself doesn't always lead to pain, that sometimes vulnerability invites closeness rather than rejection. For the Sagittarius woman, his growing transparency feels like intimacy, the kind she didn't know she needed until she found it. The more he opens, the more she listens, and the more she listens, the more he trusts. Still, they must be vigilant. The Cancer man's instinct to avoid confrontation can resurface during periods of stress, just as her bluntness can re-emerge when she feels cornered. To maintain harmony, they need to consciously practice emotional timing, understanding when to speak and when to listen. He must remember that silence can be misread, and she must remember that truth, when wrapped in warmth, reaches deeper than when thrown like a spear. Their arguments, when handled with care, often become points of renewal rather than rupture. He learns to articulate his emotions before they swell into resentment. She learns to listen with intention, to hold space for his feelings even when they seem irrational to her. Together, they transform conflict into connection. What once was a battleground becomes a classroom, a space where both learn the other's emotional language. When they fight, it's not loud chaos but quiet tension. He withdraws, she presses forward. The key is in the moment she notices, when she sees that his silence isn't defiance but hurt. In that instant, her tone softens. She reaches out, a touch on his arm, a whispered apology, and he melts. He, in turn, learns to meet her halfway, to resist the urge to disappear. He holds his ground gently, saying, "I'm not ready to talk yet, but I'm listening." Those words, for her, are a gift, a sign that the door is open. With practice, their communication becomes an art form, a mix of fire and water, candor and care. They begin to anticipate each other's moods, finding balance in emotional timing. When she speaks with passion, he responds with calm. When he grows quiet, she reaches for humor. Slowly, they learn the rhythm that turns misunderstanding into understanding, distance into closeness. In this rhythm, they discover that their differences aren't obstacles, they're complementary. His intuition allows him to perceive the emotions she doesn't voice. Her courage allows her to name the truths he avoids. Together, they cover the full spectrum of expression. She brings the sunlight of honesty, and he brings the moonlight of empathy. Their shared evolution in communication becomes the backbone of their relationship. Through each disagreement, they uncover deeper truths about one another. Through each reconciliation, they learn that love isn't about being right, it's about staying connected. And as the years go by, their ability to talk through anything, from daily frustrations to existential fears, becomes their quiet superpower. He learns that openness doesn't mean vulnerability to pain, it means strength in partnership. She learns that listening isn't submission, it's the highest form of respect. If they manage to communicate openly and compassionately, they can turn even their sharpest arguments into stepping stones toward greater intimacy. Because Sagittarius, at her core, thrives on learning, and Cancer, at his, thrives on understanding. Together, they master both, proving that when love learns how to listen, even the fiercest opposites can speak the same language. Physical intimate connection. The realm of passion, where water meets fire in its most poetic, unpredictable, and transformative form. Between the Cancer man and the Sagittarius woman, the physical and intimate connection is nothing short of alchemy, a dance between tenderness and wildness, between emotional depth and restless energy. What begins as an unlikely mix of opposites often evolves into something raw, luminous, and profoundly human. At the start, their chemistry is undeniable, but it hums with tension, not just of attraction, but of contrast. The Cancer man approaches intimacy like a sacred ritual. For him, physical connection is inseparable from emotional safety. He wants to feel before he touches, to connect before he claims. His idea of desire isn't rushed or reckless, it's deliberate, heartfelt, and deeply intuitive. Every glance, every brush of skin, carries meaning. He's not interested in fleeting pleasure, he wants union, something that feels like home wrapped in heat. The Sagittarius woman, meanwhile, views intimacy as an adventure, a place to explore, to experiment, to express. For her, passion is a living energy, a way to celebrate freedom, to experience life through the body as much as through the soul. She doesn't separate sex from spontaneity, she sees it as both art and discovery. Where he is lunar, she is solar, bold, curious, full of fire. Her touch says, let's see what happens if we dare. When these two meet in the physical realm, the first encounters are often filled with fascination and confusion in equal measure. The Cancer man is enchanted by her fearlessness. She radiates confidence, a kind of raw sensuality that disarms him. She kisses like she's chasing the horizon, moves like a flame that refuses to be contained. He admires her freedom but struggles to keep up with her pace. He needs time to build trust, to feel emotionally secure before surrendering fully. She, however, thrives on immediacy, the thrill of the unknown, the rush of discovery. This difference can create early friction. If she dives too quickly, eager to explore the physical bond before emotional depth forms, he might feel disoriented, even hollow afterward. He craves the soul behind the skin, the heart behind the heat. Without that, passion feels empty to him, like a song missing its melody. On the other hand, if he hesitates too long, she may mistake his caution for disinterest, assuming he doesn't share her enthusiasm or chemistry. Sagittarius rarely waits. She moves with life's pulse and expects her partner to meet her there. And yet, when they finally align, when his sensitivity meets her daring, the result is nothing short of transformative. Together, they create a chemistry that transcends expectation. He teaches her the power of slowing down, of savoring each moment rather than racing through it. She shows him that surrender doesn't have to mean loss of control, it can be liberation. Their connection becomes a dialogue between heart and body, between laughter and longing. In bed, the Cancer man is a giver. He listens not just with his ears but with his entire being. His intuition allows him to sense her moods, her needs, even before she speaks. His touch is deliberate, almost reverent. He wants her to feel cherished, not just desired. He brings warmth, patience, and emotional awareness into every encounter. With him, intimacy feels like coming home, safe, nurturing, and deeply personal. The Sagittarius woman brings the spark that ignites it all. She turns their shared space into a playground of passion, unpredictable, spontaneous, and thrilling. Her approach to intimacy is filled with laughter and curiosity. She's not afraid to try new things, to challenge boundaries, to turn love into an adventure. Her energy awakens something primal in him, a hunger he often hides beneath his calm exterior. She reminds him that love doesn't have to be quiet to be profound. Sometimes, it's the wildness that makes it sacred. As they learn each other's rhythms, their connection deepens into a symphony of contrasts. He slows her down, teaching her that vulnerability can be the most erotic form of courage. She speeds him up, showing him that passion doesn't always have to be so serious, that playfulness can lead to deeper connection. Together, they balance intensity with ease, devotion with discovery. Over time, their physical intimacy becomes a language of its own. They begin to read each other through touch, a hand on the back saying, "I'm here," a look across the room saying, "I see you." Their differences, once obstacles, evolve into a source of fascination. He loves the way she laughs mid-kiss, how her spontaneity breaks his habitual caution. She adores the way he looks at her afterward, as though she's the only thing in the universe that makes sense. What makes their intimacy extraordinary isn't just chemistry, it's transformation. The Cancer man, once hesitant, learns to loosen up, to step into passion with confidence and openness. The Sagittarius woman, once untethered, discovers the beauty of emotional surrender, the quiet ecstasy of being fully seen, fully held. Their physical connection becomes a spiritual bridge. Her freedom meets his devotion, her fire warms his water, and his depth cools her blaze. Of course, their differences can resurface in moments of vulnerability. When he feels emotionally disconnected, he may withdraw physically, retreating into his shell, needing reassurance before returning to closeness. She, used to confronting life head-on, may not understand this retreat, mistaking it for rejection. Conversely, when she craves novelty and spontaneity, he might feel destabilized, yearning for intimacy that feels familiar, not experimental. But with maturity, they learn to interpret each other's needs rather than react to them. She discovers that his silences are not distance but depth, that he loves through stillness as much as through action. He learns that her adventurous spirit isn't unfaithfulness, it's vitality. When they honor these truths, their physical connection grows more profound, more resilient, more intimate. Their private moments often become their safest place, where words fade and understanding lives in breath and heartbeat. She finds joy in his tenderness, he finds freedom in her passion. Together, they build a balance between wild exploration and emotional safety, the kind of love that feels alive but grounded, fiery yet fluid. There's something cinematic about them, the way she teases him out of his shell, the way he softens her edges with quiet devotion. Their intimacy is not just about bodies meeting but souls conversing. They make love like two different elements trying to merge, sometimes clashing, sometimes blending, always transforming. In the long run, their physical connection becomes a metaphor for their relationship itself, a constant evolution. It's never static, never predictable. One day it's laughter and light, the next, it's deep, slow, and wordless. What remains consistent is the trust they build, the trust that allows him to be vulnerable and her to stay, not because she must, but because she wants to. In this union, the Cancer man learns that passion can be playful without losing its sincerity. He discovers that letting go of control doesn't mean losing love, it means deepening it. The Sagittarius woman learns that surrender isn't weakness, it's the most intimate form of strength. She realizes that true freedom isn't found in running, but in finding someone who makes staying feel like flight. Together, they embody the perfect paradox: water and fire, two elements destined to either destroy or create, depending on how they're tended. When they choose to nurture the flame with tenderness and trust, their physical connection becomes timeless, a love that burns gently, endlessly, beneath the surface. Shared values, life goals. This area can be both their greatest strength and their greatest challenge, the very intersection where their hearts either synchronize beautifully or drift apart in opposite directions. When the Cancer man and Sagittarius woman dream about the future, they often find themselves standing at two ends of the same road, one looking toward home, the other toward the horizon. And yet, between them lies the possibility of a shared path, one that combines the warmth of belonging with the thrill of discovery. For the Cancer man, values are not abstract ideals, they are the living, breathing essence of his daily life. He finds meaning in the familiar, in the rhythm of routine, in the sacredness of small moments. Family, security, and emotional connection form the core of his worldview. He dreams of a home filled with laughter, traditions, and the kind of love that deepens with time. His heart beats to the rhythm of commitment. Stability doesn't bore him, it anchors him. He finds joy in nurturing, in creating an environment where both he and his partner can rest from the chaos of the outside world. His success isn't measured by wealth or adventure, but by peace, by knowing that the people he loves feel safe and cherished. The Sagittarius woman, meanwhile, lives by a compass pointed outward. Her values are guided by freedom, truth, and growth. She craves expansion, intellectually, spiritually, and geographically. Her soul ignites when she's learning something new, meeting new people, or exploring uncharted places. For her, security is not a physical space but a mindset, the ability to move through life without fear of stagnation. She sees success not in accumulation, but in evolution. A good life, to her, is one where every chapter feels different from the last, where every year brings new wisdom. At first glance, these two value systems seem to speak entirely different languages. He builds foundations, she builds wings. He seeks permanence, she seeks motion. He wants to plant roots, she wants to chase horizons. The Cancer man envisions Sunday mornings in a cozy kitchen, the smell of pancakes and coffee mingling with laughter. The Sagittarius woman envisions Sunday mornings in a new city, sipping espresso at a corner cafe, planning her next great adventure. Both visions are beautiful, but they exist on different frequencies. And yet, within their differences lies an extraordinary opportunity for growth. The Cancer man can teach the Sagittarius woman the art of presence, the beauty of slowing down, of finding magic in the everyday. She, in turn, can teach him the art of expansion, that home isn't just a place, but a feeling that can travel with you wherever you go. If they open themselves to learning from each other, their relationship becomes a masterclass in balance. Imagine this. She plans spontaneous adventures that keep their world exciting, weekend road trips, unplanned detours, spontaneous stargazing nights. He, in turn, ensures that they always have a sanctuary to return to, a space that feels like their emotional anchor amid life's constant motion. In this rhythm of adventure and return, of movement and stillness, they find a harmony few couples achieve. She becomes the wind in his sails, he becomes the harbor she never knew she needed. Still, this balance doesn't come naturally. It requires communication, empathy, and compromise. The Cancer man must learn that her need for freedom is not a threat to their bond but an extension of who she is. Her wandering spirit isn't a sign of restlessness toward him, but a reflection of her endless curiosity about the world. When she leaves, she always intends to come back, not because she has to, but because she wants to. The Sagittarius woman, on the other hand, must realize that his longing for emotional constancy isn't control, it's love. When he wants to settle, it's not to confine her, it's to build something solid that they both can lean on when life becomes unpredictable. Over time, they discover that their values are not as opposing as they first appeared. Both seek fulfillment, just in different languages. He wants emotional security, she wants spiritual freedom. But both desires stem from the same root, a yearning for authenticity. He wants a love that feels real, unbreakable. She wants a life that feels real, unfiltered. When they recognize this shared essence, their differences start to look less like contradictions and more like complements. In their ideal world, their life goals begin to merge, not by erasing their individuality, but by weaving it together. He might support her dreams of travel, joining her on journeys that open his heart to new experiences. She might find joy in creating a shared home base, knowing she has a safe place to land after every adventure. Together, they could design a life that blends exploration with emotional grounding, maybe a home that always welcomes change, where every room holds stories from their travels, and every journey begins and ends with love. The Cancer man, through her influence, learns that comfort zones can expand, that home doesn't lose its meaning when stretched across borders. He learns that adventure doesn't mean abandonment, it means growth. The Sagittarius woman learns that stability isn't the enemy of freedom, it's the foundation that makes true freedom possible. She learns that having someone to return to doesn't diminish her independence, it deepens it. Still, they will face moments of friction. He may worry when she seems distant, chasing new dreams. She may feel confined when his need for togetherness becomes too consuming. But their saving grace lies in their mutual respect. If they can see each other not as opposites, but as reflections of what the other lacks, they'll find that their relationship becomes a powerful equilibrium of heart and horizon. Over time, their shared values begin to evolve together. He starts to value adventure as much as comfort. She begins to value commitment as much as freedom. Their priorities start to merge in subtle ways, a shared desire for purpose, for growth, for a life rich in both experiences and emotions. They may choose to travel the world while maintaining a home base, or build a family that lives unconventionally, one that explores and learns together. What makes their partnership extraordinary is their capacity to redefine what shared values mean. They don't have to agree on everything, they only have to agree on why they're together. And that reason, love built on respect, curiosity, and acceptance, becomes their compass. It guides them through every disagreement, every dream, every detour. The Cancer man's dream of creating a peaceful, nurturing home finds expression in her warmth and optimism. She fills his life with color, laughter, and unpredictability, elements that stretch his emotional landscape. Meanwhile, her dream of seeing the world and evolving finds grounding in his love, a reminder that no matter how far she goes, there's always a place, and a person, waiting for her. When they align their visions, they create something extraordinary, a life where adventure and security coexist, where passion doesn't fade but matures, and where love becomes not a cage, but a collaboration. In this shared vision, they prove that opposites don't just attract, they elevate. Their relationship becomes a living paradox, stable yet dynamic, rooted yet free. He offers her the emotional gravity that keeps her from drifting too far. She offers him the wings that lift his spirit beyond the familiar. Together, they write a love story that defies easy categorization, a union built not on sameness but on balance. In the end, love for them is not about compromise, it's about coexistence. It's not about chaining each other down, but about growing side by side, in different, yet complementary ways. The Cancer man and Sagittarius woman, when they learn to embrace both roots and wings, find that their shared values aren't about choosing between home and horizon, they're about realizing that love, at its best, is both. Final thoughts. The love story between a Cancer man and a Sagittarius woman is not a simple one. It's a tale of contrasts, emotion versus exploration, depth versus freedom, moonlight versus sunlight. Yet, in these very differences lies their potential for extraordinary love. If they approach their relationship with patience, empathy, and curiosity, they can teach each other profound lessons. He will learn that love doesn't always mean holding on tightly, sometimes it means letting go. She will learn that freedom feels even sweeter when there's someone who makes home worth returning to. Their journey together is like a map drawn in the stars, unpredictable, vivid, and full of meaning. Some nights, their elements may clash, creating storms of emotion and misunderstanding. But on others, they'll find a breathtaking calm, the kind that happens when fire reflects on still water, and both realize they've created something rare, harmony in contrast. So, can Cancer and Sagittarius find lasting love? Absolutely, if they're willing to meet halfway between the ocean's depth and the open sky. Because when the crab learns to dance with the archer, the universe applauds.